Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. So from this video we are going to start a new series, and in this video we will learn how to make this amazing artwork. But before we start, I'd like to make an announcement, and that is we are expiring our advanced Thuluth course, which means once we expire we would not be taking any more enrollments, and we will be doing this within 1 month. So go ahead and enroll in the course. Do not miss this opportunity to enroll in this amazing course which teaches you end-to-end Arabic calligraphy right from the start, that is how to hold the qalam, all the way to the expert level. Now let's begin. Okay, so let's see the process. The first thing that we do when we compose the artwork is we make the rough work. So what is the rough work like, and why do we make rough work? The important thing is you need to understand the shape that you want to eventually arrive at. Okay, that is why you need to first conceptualize what you want to write. Now the two words that I showed you are al-mujib, that has alif, that has lam, that has mim, that has jim, that has ya, and that has ba. So these are the letters that I want to compose in. The second part is al-ghafur. Lam, we have ghain, we have fa, we have waw, and then we have ra. Now, after you have listed all these letters, you then need to move on to the next step, step 2. Now, in the second step, we need to then figure out how we connect these letters. There are multiple ways of connecting letters in Thuluth, and all of these connections are covered in my advanced course. So do check that out. I will leave the link in the description. Now we have alif followed by lam and then mim. Now mim connects with lam in several ways. One of the ways is this is my mim and this is my lam. And then jim connects in this way. Connection of ba is ya is quite simple, standalone shape, and then this is one. So this is one of the shapes you can write al-mujib. Another way to write is like this, and this is a creative way to connect, and there are multiple permutations and combinations, like hundreds of permutations and combinations, frankly, to connect meme with, or connecting one letter with the other. Now we have ya, and then we have ba. Okay, but the one which we will choose is this, because I've already figured this connection out, and this is an advanced level of connection, in fact expert level connection. We don't generally use this connection irregularly, and then from here we write the standalone shape of ba, in fact this kashida. But in order for me to be able to design this, I should know that this is one of the shapes of ba and this is another shape of ba. There are multiple shapes of ba that you can use in the end form, and I need to know that, and that knowledge is very, very important. So now we have finalized this particular shape after trying out different permutations and combinations. So what I suggest you do is study the shapes of all the letters, try to change one letter at a time, and then arrive at the final shape that you want to compose, the artwork that you want to finalize. Now the next word is al-ghafur. Now again alif and lam remains the same. We have ghain written in this way, fa pretty much connects in this way, then we have waw, and then ra. This is a standard way of writing al-ghafur. I can use a different shape of fa, that is this fa. With qalam it would look different, so it goes like this shape of fa, the knot shape. And then I can also use waw al-majmu, this, and I can use ra al-majmu as well. But as you saw in the artwork, we will be using ra al-mursil and we will be using ra al-istiqbani, that is this ra, and ra al-mursal. But again, I have the knowledge that this is one of the shapes of ra, this is one of the shapes, and this is one of the shapes. So there are 3 shapes that I can play around with. and there are two shapes of wow that I can play around with. Again, that is important. Now the next part 3 or step 3 is composing both the words together. Once we finalized the shape and this shape, we need to then bring this together. And how can I do that? Al-Ghafur can be written in a circular manner or in a circular shape. So what I'll do is I'll first make an outline, rough outline, and then I'll first write my word. And then I'll make my raw here. One of the things that you should know when we make simple artwork in a circular manner or ellipse manner, we generally keep it bottom heavy. That is, more letters are at the bottom and few letters are at the top. Again, this is one of the concepts, one of the many concepts that you can learn or you should learn before starting to make an artwork. Look, it's very easy to simply emulate someone's work, like copy someone's artwork and remake it, but it becomes very difficult when you have to compose an artwork. And for how long will you keep copying? You must know the rules, principles of designing your own artwork, so then eventually others start copying you. So, and that's the level you should achieve. Here what we do is, now we take this, let's say I want to just design it, make harakat, just roughly making it. So now this gives you a decent shape. But where do I place it? Whenever you make kashida, one of the objectives of kashida is you have something to place above it, because that gives you balance. So I make a rough circle, and then I try to make the artwork. Like this. And then overall the artwork basically takes a skeleton shape, right? So step 1, always write individual letters. Step 2 is try to compose one word. Step 3 is to bring the artwork together. Then step 4, of course, you start writing the artwork. So let's see that. Step 4 is where I start writing on Ahar. Now here there are other artists who actually compose the artwork on the regular sheet and then transfer it on the Ahar. But we are not going to use that approach. Maybe in the future videos I will use it, because for that you need a lot more things like light box, and there are other things that need to be taken into consideration. If you want me to do that, write in the comments and I'll show you that way as well. But because alhamdulillah I know shapes, I take the risk of writing directly on the ahar. But because ahar are expensive, you can use the tracing method. If you want me to show you the tracing method, I can do that in some of the future videos, inshallah. Now let's begin. So the first letter, of course, is alif. Now, of course, I'm writing with my Egyptian Tomar Qalam and my own Qalam al Kagas black ink and the red ink that I will use. Alif is 7 nukta, as we know. And this part I might fast forward because we've already covered so much basics. Right, so the rough draft is now ready. So what we need to do now is simply let this dry. It is important that you let it dry, otherwise you'll create smudges. And then I'll start writing Al Ghafur here. Okay, so now we had let the artwork rest for around 20 odd minutes and it is dry. We can now start writing the composition part of Al Ghafur. What I will do is I basically, there are ways you can measure this as well. I will use this as a measurement and start somewhere here in between, somewhere here, so it takes up central part. But if it doesn't exactly, that's okay. This is all trial and error. So we have Let's write lam first. We connect this with ghain. This is then followed by wow, as you know. Then I can make my alif. I can actually use a different alif here, so let's do that. This is my ghafur. I can place my dhamma here. I can place my harakat on later. So this looks nice and small. I can add my decorative particles here. Let's use a smaller column to sign harakat. Use a 1 mm. Now I start making the larger part of the artwork. We have mujib, so this is the nukta for jim, for ya. And finally, I can use another bigger column to make the nukta for ba, and I'll use red ink for that. Okay, now of course there are certain things that you need to keep in mind, and that is when you write on ahar, you will always see these places where the ink does not uh, catch on or stick to the paper, or it doesn't generally appear as an opaque part. You'll see these empty spaces here. This is a part of ahar. There are a couple of ways you can address that situation. One of the ways is you can use a talcum powder to smear on it and then wipe it with a tissue and then write, but I don't quite like that approach because it makes the paper very smooth and the column slips easily. So what I do is I use smaller size column later, and then I fill the spaces like this. But this is just my approach. You can happily differ in your approach. That is completely all right, but this is the way I prefer finalizing the artwork. And this brings me to the fifth part, and the fifth part is giving the finishing touches to the artwork. And I'm going to fast forward this part as well because this is the same, unless if there's something unique, I will explain it in that case. Okay, so this is now okay, so this is where I will be assigning harakat. We have alif, we have fatha uh, sound, and we'll make a long fatha. We have dhamma for meme, So we make our dhamma. We have kasra for ha or jim, and we make kasra below jim like this. We have sukoon, and then finally dhamma for ba. We can make it here or here, wherever we feel comfortable. So in this part, the final step, we will be doing the C with the knife. What basically we do here is we clear out the rough edges and give the artwork the smoother look. Again, you must be wondering, there are so many steps involved, but the best part is all these steps are included in my advanced course. Go ahead and take it before we retire the course permanently. So this is what we do throughout the artwork to give it sharper look, and that happens to every single step, every single uh, stroke that we've made. So what I'm going to do here again is simply fast forward this so you don't waste your time watching the same thing being repeated over and over again. So that's it. You saw how amazing the process is of making an amazing artwork. It takes time, it takes efforts. There are certain steps, as we explained. Follow all steps from one all the way till the end, and you will be able to make amazing artwork. And remember, I was able to do all these because I know all the shapes of Thuluth, all the letters in Thuluth, which you can also learn from our course. We have this detailed advanced course that I invite you to take a look at. It'll be the first link in the description, so go ahead and consider enrolling. It is the only course you will ever need. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.